Hello YouTube, CitySide75 here, bringing you another pickups video. I apologize for the lack of video output from my channel lately, but I assure you that I'm still here. I'm still enjoying watching everyone else's videos. Just been really busy, you know, the standard stuff, work and life and everything else. But I have still been going out and hitting both garage sales and thrift stores and the like. And I have had some really solid, exciting as a collector finds that I've picked up over the last couple months. This really mainly covers, my last video I think was early to mid-June. So this is from that point up until this week. So it's mainly June and July with a little touch of August. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run through these in somewhat reverse chronological order here, just because I kind of, it's going back a little ways here, so some of the stories as to how I acquired these things are getting a little foggy, so I'm going to start with the stuff that I remember most recently first. So let's go ahead and get started with today. Today is what got me motivated to go ahead and put this together, because today was a banner day, especially in the modern era of in the wild collecting. And by that I just mean that you know, I was doing this back years before it was really popular, and there were some legendary pickups back when most people thought this stuff was garbage. So but these days, with the number of people out there that know that video games are valuable, it's obviously much less common, as I think most of you know. And actually, let me go ahead and start off my description of what I got today by saying, I'm sure if you watch other videos, pickup videos, especially people that do garage sailing, they all give you some of the same tips. Among them, you got to get up early. First of all, you should go out as early in the week as possible. Try to get out Thursday so that you can get there before everyone else has picked over the stuff. Then you got to get out there early. I mean, you got people on some of these other channels that go up early and say, can I look through your boxes and things like that. All, you know, good tips, probably going to help you find some good stuff, although you're still bumping elbows with other people that are trying to do the same thing. I don't usually do that, even though I understand the logic behind it. To me, it's, if I'm not having fun doing it, I don't want it to feel like a job. This is something that I do as pleasure when I'm away from my job, so I don't want to be caught in the hustle bustle. So my day started, about 9:15, 9:30 is when we were able to get ourselves out the door. Today is Saturday, so Saturday is usually when stuff is the most picked over and there's nothing really good left, but it's beautiful out right now this time of year. So I'm like, what the heck, I didn't have a chance to go out at all this week. This was my first time going out, was on Saturday. Let's see what we find, right? So one of the first sales I go to, as I pull up to the driveway, I can see that they've got a PS2 sitting there with a stack of games. See that fairly frequently, but as I walked up, I saw the prices. They were asking $25 for the system. Don't really need any more PS2s. I've got plenty of those right now. But then the note below it said 50 cents a game. Now, 50 cents a game for PS2 games is usually a good deal. I mean, even if you've got any sports games or things like that that are interested in, or if you're looking for some shelf padding, as they say, 50 cents a game is pretty good. So let me show you what I got. Shadow of the Colossus. Oh, and all of these are in really good shape. They're all complete. There were even a couple sealed games there that I didn't pick up. I probably left, I got 10 of them here. I probably left 20 behind that I either already had, or they just were not stuff I was interested in, like board games and things like that. Crash Twinsanity. I probably wouldn't pay much more than 50 cents for that, but it's not a bad deal. Pro Race Driver. Don't know anything about this, but I do love my driving games, and my if it works with my steering wheel, which it might. It says analog control. I don't know. That might just be the analog sticks. Fugitive Hunter, War on Terror. Don't really know anything about this, but again, 50 cents. Freedom Fighters. This one I was happy to get. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. I have the first Ratchet and Clank, and I think I have one on the PSP. Haven't really spent much time with them, but this seems to be the one that everyone raves about as being the, you know, the one to get. So happy to get that for 50 cents. MotoGP 3. Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick, and as it turns out, I already have this one on the Xbox, so I wanted to get an even 10, so I thought there could be a chance of that, but I had $5 on me. I didn't want to get the 50 cents back. X Squad, which I feel like I heard this was a bad game, but I think I might be thinking of a Sega Genesis game. I don't know. I think there's a late Sega Genesis game called something Squad that's really bad. I don't know. I know this is an early PS2 game, yeah, from 2000. But hey, for 50 cents, I'm happy to check it out. And then Twisted Metal Head On. And again, I actually do have Twisted Metal Black already, and I think the only difference here is that this has a probably now dead online feature. I think that's what it is. Or no. Oh, actually, you know what? I wonder if this is... Oh, okay, cool. I think this is actually a translation of a PSP game, which I believe I have, but still, to be able to play that on the big screen is cool. And it says 4 never before played levels from Twisted Metal Black. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So, better than I thought. I thought this was that Twisted Metal Black where they added the online to it, but no. So, nice. So, those are 50 cents. But the story doesn't end there. So, I got to chatting with the lady. She was really nice. And as we were just talking about, the neighborhood and stuff like that, I got these games and I said, I see you've got more stuff in the back. Let me go ahead and just see what you got back there. I didn't have any more cash on me, but I figured, what the heck? Let's see what else they've got. And I approached a box again, it's one of those boxes that if you're out there hunting, it's one of those boxes that just makes your heart skip a beat when you see it. So right at the top of it was this, a turbo stick. Unfortunately, this was the only TurboGrafx related stuff that was there. But still, this is hard to find and super exciting to get. I do have a turbo, so I will definitely be putting this to good use. I asked her, I said, again, I was having a nice conversation with both these ladies. And I told her, frankly, I said, TurboGrafx stuff is hard to find, and I'd love to find any more of it if you've got it. And she, to her credit, she went and looked through a few more boxes of stuff in her house, but she didn't find anything else. Okay, so there was that was sitting there, and then next to that in the box was Super Mario World loose, Star Fox, but not just any Star Fox. It says on the label here, not for resale, and on the top it says not for resale, demo only. Now I know obviously this isn't like Star Fox Super Weekend or anything like that, but I did a little research and it looks like this was a store kiosk version of the game. I'm really interested to see if it's any different. I've played Star Fox a million times, so it would be interesting to see if there's any differences between this and the release version. But no, this was, I'm super excited to find that. Oh, and I'll tell you what I paid for all this stuff at the end, again, because this was at the same sale. I'd already paid $5 for those 10 PS2 games. Now, the rest of these are all mint boxed Super Nintendo games. First, we got Killer Instinct, Clay Fighter, Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and again, if you can't see here, these things are immaculate. Mortal Kombat 2, Out of This World, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat. Oh, one I was really excited to see. Phalanx. This is this is a decent shooter for the Super Nintendo. At the very least, I know that. It's got the infamous cover art with the old man playing the banjo that I can remember seeing at my local rental store and having no idea what kind of game that would be. Because you kind of missed the spaceship in the upper corner there. But yeah, this again, just in mint, like it was just pulled out of the the wrapper. Ren and Stimpy's Veediots, and Star Fox. Now, I have probably about 4 or 5 of these games already, but all except for Star Fox are loose. So obviously I'll be able to upgrade the games in my collection to boxed copies, which is super exciting. I have a box version of Star Fox that I'll probably be holding on to because it's my original one that I bought back in the day. But this is so mint, I don't know. I think I may have to hold on to this one too. So anyway, I see this entire box sitting there, and I said to the lady I was speaking to, what would you take for the, what are you asking for the whole box? And she goes, you know what, let me go in and ask my daughter. So she brings her daughter out. Daughter walks over to me. I said, I'm interested in just buying the whole box. What are you looking to get for it? And she looks at it for a minute and says, $2. And my jaw dropped. And because again, in this day and age, even when you do find video games, I find that most people, they know that video games are worth something now. I mean, who doesn't know the word Nintendo now, just out in society? I mean, everybody associates Nintendo with nostalgia and fun and everything. So, without getting into specifics, I did tell her, I said, you know, what you've got is worth more than that. And so I made her a counter offer to pay her more than her $2 that she initially pushed back on. But I told her that I would be happy to pay her that because, you know, she has a lot of good stuff here. And plus I was going to be asking her to hold it while I ran and got the money because, like I said, I didn't have any more cash on me. So I did end up paying her more than her $2 asking price for the games. And I'm glad I did that. And, I'm still thrilled to have gotten the amount of games that I got. So let's go ahead now. Now we're going to move these real quick. All right, so moving backwards now, I believe this was last weekend. And prior to today's finds, I was pretty sure that last weekend was going to be my best weekend of the month, or of the video period, because basically just these NES games I found. So this particular sale was the first one I went to. This also, no, I think this was Friday. Was it Friday? I'm not sure. It might have even been Thursday. But the people were still pulling stuff out, but we got there. I mean, it was late. It was well after 9 o'clock. They had already opened the sale and people were already browsing, but they were just continuing to bring stuff out. And I got there at just the perfect time, just as they started to bring out an NES. No, actually, I think I did ask them specifically if they had any video games that they were selling. And yeah, I did. And they came out with a box of NES games. And I asked them how much. They were trying to sell the whole system. And again, I've got a lot of NESs right now. They were asking a very fair price. I want to say like $25 for the whole box. But I just didn't want to drop that much money for another NES. You know, I've got quite a few right now. So I asked them how much they would do for the games. They said $2 apiece on the games. So I went ahead and picked up. This was just a really great selection. You don't see NES games, at least in this area, too often at all anymore, let alone games of this quality. We got Contra, Bad Dudes, Castlevania 2, Battletoads. And, you know, the thing about Battletoads is, you know, I kind of missed the NES generation. I didn't miss it. I definitely played a lot of NES, but I didn't own an NES. I had been playing my Commodore 64 until that was way obsolete, and I just never wanted to spend the money on an NES, and I wasn't really playing video games during that particular period. I mean, I started playing in this 2600 and Intellivision days, or Pong days, really, and I continue to play new systems to this day. The NES period was about the only period that I really stopped playing for a while. I mean, I was like in my late teens, early 20s, and I always joke that it was the one time in my life when girls became more important to me than video games. I wanted a girlfriend, and so at that time there was still, you know, it wasn't even that there was stigma about it. I really didn't care about that because I did play a lot of games still. I still played my Commodore a lot. It was just that I couldn't pour so much time into them because I wanted to find a girlfriend. So anyway, long story, the reason I'm saying that is because games like Battletoads, I just never had a first-time experience with this. I mean, I played a little bit in emulation, but It's such a sought-after game now, and everyone raves about it so much. So I played this for a little bit, and it's really fun. Really liking that game a lot. Then we got Double Dragon, Double Dragon 2, and Double Dragon 3. So, like I said, I got all of those. There's 7 games here total. I got those for $2 a piece. So, and then they also, no, this was a different sale, right? This was the sale I went to right after, and it was the same way. They started, I asked them if they had any video games, and they came out with some PS3 games, and I believe they asked $3 a piece for these. So I got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and NHL 12. This is now my newest NHL game. I still like playing the NHL games, but I just don't pay $60 for them because I just play them now and then with one of my friends. So yeah, so those were some really, I was really excited to get those NES games. Now moving back probably a week prior, I think, or so, there again, there's been some stuff that's gone on some weekends, so I haven't been able to go out every weekend. But similar story again in these 2 sets of finds. The first one, I did ask them if they had any video games to sell, and they came out with these. They're marked at $5 a piece, but I think I made them a package deal with maybe some other stuff we bought, and I think I paid maybe 3 or 4 a piece for them. So we got Assassin's Creed 2 or 3 on the 360 and Crysis 3. So, and yeah, I haven't played either one of them yet. I look forward to it. I know they're supposed to be both really good games. And then that same weekend, I came to another sale, and this one I spotted the video games there, and this again, I believe this was a Saturday, and I was surprised to see these, but in this case, the lady had tucked the box of games so far back in one corner that you almost would miss them if you weren't looking for them, and I just happened to spot them sitting there. And she had a big box of games, and she was asking a reasonable price, but as I went through them, it was just mostly kids games, sports games, and just other a lot of movie games, kids games. But there were a couple treasures buried in there. First one, and again, I think these were $2 a piece, was Sonic Gems Collection, and this is actually just loose, so I went ahead and printed up a label for this because I've really wanted this game for a long time. It's got the Sonic CD, Sonic the Fighters, and Sonic R on it. I think I have all 3 of those games. I don't have Sonic the Fighters, but that's an arcade game. But I do have Sonic R and Sonic CD. But still, it's cool to get this, and I have the first Sonic collection as well. So it's nice to have this with that. But the real treasure was sitting in there, the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, and yeah, this is something I was really excited to find. I have the Ocarina of Time special edition as well now, so I've got the 3. I think one of these was a pre-order bonus. I think this was the pre-order bonus for Wind Waker, and then I think they had a special edition Wind Waker that included the Ocarina of Time with it. I forget if that's the way it went, but it was something like that. So yeah, like I said, $2 or so for this, which was a great find. I also picked up this DS game called Pokemon Ranger. I thought it was a regular Pokemon game, but it looks like it's some kind of an adventure game. And again, I think it was a couple bucks. So those were some quite cool finds. Now, the next batch of stuff here is mostly... Oh, you know what? Let's see. The same day that I found those things, I also found this guy. And my son actually found him, Alex Epic 693, while we were walking around at this sale. And I think he told me that he thinks we paid $3 for this guy. It's been a few weeks now. But I know it wasn't too much, and he's awesome. I'm not a big toy collector. I don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. I feel like my room is cluttered enough as it is. But yeah, this is really high quality. And as soon as I saw it, he just looks like he's ready to hold a Wiimote. I saw that there, and it fits perfectly. And I actually just recently moved our Wii downstairs, so he sits now on the shelf above the Wii with a Wiimote just ready to go. So thought that was pretty cool. So really excited to find him. Okay, so now let's jump into these. So these were a couple more garage sale finds. This was definitely going back a few weeks now. Tetris Plus for $1 and Gex Enter the Gecko for $1. And then my My kids are on a Simpsons kick now, so we picked up the Simpsons Hit and Run, and I have another Simpsons game I'll be showing you in a minute. And then also got Battle Engine Aquila for the PS2. One non-gaming, I don't usually find or show too many non-gaming things on here, but this is, I consider this kind of like an archaeological find from a electronics enthusiast. I know that sounds pretty dumb, but here it is. It's a first generation Apple iPod. First generation. Now, I'm not a big Apple advocate myself. I don't use a lot of their stuff, but I definitely recognize the impact that products like this had on, on our culture, really. And I do believe that something like this is going to be a collector's item someday. I think people already do collect these to some extent. This is the first model, like the very first series that was released. And I asked the guy if it worked. He said he didn't have the cords or anything like that anymore. It's got a little bit of damage on the headphone jack there. I'm hoping that it's nothing serious. But he doesn't know if it works. And getting the cord, it runs off of a FireWire cord, and it looks like it's a special type too. So it may be a challenge. But he was asking 10 for it, and since he didn't know if it worked and he didn't have any information or anything to go with it, I asked him if he'd take 3 for it, and he said yes. So, and it looks like even now, if I was to try to sell this on eBay, I think I could probably get maybe 30, 40 bucks for it, just because they are, people out there do appreciate these and want to collect them. It came with this little carry case too. So anyway, yeah, just a little non-gaming find there that I decided, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. That's really one of the big reasons that I wanted to keep it too, because it doesn't take up a lot of space. Let's see. Okay. This one is from an unidentified period because I stuck it under the seat of my car and then found it recently. But it was picked up for 99 cents from a Goodwill, I'd say probably about a month ago. And it's a Mad Catz light gun for the original Xbox. And you may or may not know, but light guns for the Xbox are actually not real common. There's only a handful of light gun games on the Xbox. But first of all, I believe this is compatible with emulators, and I've got a hacked Xbox, so that in itself would be cool. But then there was a House of the Dead 3, I think it was, that was released on the Xbox, and I do have that, and that game is light gun compatible, so I think just for that alone it was worth picking up. So 99 cents on that. Let's see here. This was some stuff we picked up at Savers and Half Price Books. This was all really cheap. This was $2 for the PSP Ape Escape on the Loose. For $2.99 on the NES, Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf. I don't even know why they call that Fighting Golf. I really don't. It's an SNK game. I don't think it's like Ninja Golf, but I should have looked it up before I did this. But Fighting Golf, whatever, $2.99 sounds cool. Dungeon Siege on the PSP, which was $2. I remember the PC game back in the day. I'm sure that has some, vague relationship to it. Madden 2005 on the PS2. I normally don't pick up off-year sports games, but this is the collector's edition. And I'd like to make a video about this at some point. I should do it for, those of us out there that did play sports games, especially Madden games growing up. Because the cool thing about this, I remembered reading about this at the time, was that it came with a 16-bit and two 32-bit variant or versions of Madden, and I popped them in, and they're surprisingly accurate. So the 16-bit version is like the Sega Genesis version, like Madden 93 or so, and it looks and sounds almost perfect. It doesn't have the background crowd noise, was one thing I noticed, but it's really good. And then the 32-bit versions are 2 different PlayStation versions, a sprite-based version and a polygon-based version of the game. And it's really interesting because I know that the PS2 can natively play PS1 games because it's got all the chips in it and things like that, but I've never seen a PS2 game switch over to be a PS1 game. But it doesn't look like it's emulation. It wouldn't make sense to make it emulation. But it starts off within the PS2 game, and then it switches over, and yeah, these are like it loads it off the disc, but then it looks just like the PS1 originals. It's interesting. I found it to be really cool. So, and $2, and it had some cool behind the scenes stuff and some like anniversary stuff. Yeah, so it was cool. And then Counter-Strike for $2, which I don't know. I think this is mostly a multiplayer game anyway. I know Counter-Strike obviously on the PC is. I think this Xbox version is too. Yeah, it was. I was on the fence about picking it up, but shelf padding for $2. Okay, and then we got some Savers finds here, and this was just good timing, walking into Savers at the right time, and this stuff was probably just recently put out. We got the Simpsons game again for my kids for the PS2 for $2.99. Playing over my head behind me, I'm pushing 300 PS1 games, and I didn't have the original Time Crisis in my collection, and it's not ridiculously expensive, but if you go to buy it online, it's not cheap, so I would never do something like that. Just waited it out, and eventually I did find it for $1.99. It's an essential game. Back when I had a chipped PS1, obviously I had it then, so I did play it quite a bit. But yeah, great game, great era for Namco. Their best period, or one of their best periods of making games, coincided with the beginning of the PlayStation. They were making great arcade games and then bringing them home as great translations. And there's just something about Namco games from this period that they just give off that like arcade excitement. Just their sound effects and their music and everything. So yeah, really love this game. Like I said, it's got it playing behind me. Also very, very excited to get this. SNK Arcade Classics for the PS2 for $2.99. Put some good time into this. Playing some of these Neo Geo games. Emulation's really good. A lot of fun. Also very excited to get this. I actually don't have either game in this series until I got this. Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I got that for $4.99. Great timing on that. Again, these Mario games hold their value like nothing. So unless you get lucky, you're either going to have to pay for it or you're really just going to have to wait. So definitely looking forward to trying this. Haven't had a chance to give it a shot yet. Also for $4.99, Wario Land Shake It for the Wii. And also for $4.99, this was probably... I should have known by the fact that it has a GameStop price of $7.99, but I was in the mood to pick up a driving game, so I picked this up. Indianapolis 500 Evolution for the Xbox 360. Okay. Let's see, it just looks like 2 more games here. For the PS1, I got Area 51. I have this game loose, but now I've got a complete version that I can upgrade. And Sonic Heroes, I guess that's pretty cool. It was only $1.99. So I did go ahead and pick that up. I don't think it's... Oh, it does have the manual. Okay. Yeah. So I think that is it. Oh, yeah, one other thing. I also picked up some really nice upgrades for my driving simulator that I made a video on a while back. The new upgrades that I've made have just exponentially increased the I want to say realism. It's probably not realism, but the level of what's the word I'm looking for? Authenticity. We'll go with that. It adds some authenticity to the experience that's really cool. So, but I think I'm going to do a separate video about that, just showing you some of the changes that I've made to the whole setup, because it's really cool. It's actually, of all the games that I've been playing over the last few months, it's been by far the most, has been Gran Turismo 6, played on that new driving simulator. So it's been a lot of fun, really been enjoying that. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Again, I apologize for the lack of videos, but I do hope to start putting some more up soon. But I still appreciate, I've been still getting feedback and comments on my other videos. I've still been increasing subscribers, even though I haven't been putting stuff out lately. So I appreciate everybody that's been subscribing and commenting and showing interest in the videos. And so I will definitely try to pick up the pace here in the future. So thanks again for watching, and see you soon.